Government is not the solution to our problem. Government is the problem.
We can meet our destiny to build a land here that will be for all mankind a shining city on a hill.
You're listening to the Liberty Brothers Radio Show, only on Revolution Radio. Now here is your host, Jason Van Tatenhove.
The crusade for freedom is your chance and mine to fight communism.
Please hang up and try again.
Again, we've got Frank Castle joining us from Heist Click. He's going to be the guest co-host for the next week or so, and probably next 3 weeks if you're able to do it. And, absolutely. So this first hour, we got Allen Larderi coming on from West Virginia. Apparently there's a movement there. There's 3 guys that, and we're going to get more information on it, but, I've talked about government shills before, and really, there are these people that work for the government. Usually they've been busted for something, and, they're working with the governments to try to get stupid people to do stupid things. And it sounds like we've got a group of these guys over there right now trying to get some of the Patriot community to storm the state building. Now, don't get me wrong. There's going to be a time and place for revolution, but I don't think it's here and now. And I think that what we're looking at there, what's happening with there was a big conference call this week, and we'll have Allen get into that. But that's kind of what we're going to be talking about first hour. Well, let's get Allen on. I'm going to get him called up here, and we will hear what's happening down in West Virginia, and then we'll go a little bit more esoteric in the discussion. So,
hello.
Hey, Allen, it's Jason and Frank on the Liberty Brothers. How you doing, my friend?
Pretty good. How you doing?
We're doing good. You're live on the air. Hey, so I wanted you to give a quick introduction about yourself. You're kind of boy, man, you're kind of famous these days on YouTube. You're getting a lot of views. I had a few of your videos go viral. You're very, very connected into the 3%er Oath Keeper militia movement there in the, the whole East Coast, I think, really, Appalachia. But tell our listeners a little bit about yourself, and I think you've been on the show before then, but, give us a little background about yourself.
Well, name's Allen Larderi. I'm an Army veteran, tank gunner, among other things. Been out of the military now for a little over 10 years. Got pretty much involved with what I'm currently doing since my stepson Jared, he was kind of basically arrested at school from events stemming from wearing of an NRA T-shirt. The whole zero tolerance policy victim here, and that kind of forced myself into activism and being more politicized, I guess, and that just kind of translates into what's going on right now. With the terrorist attack on the recruiters in Chattanooga. I made a video, pretty much spoke from the heart, and it resonated with a lot of people. So it went what people would refer to as going viral, I guess. And that's pretty much where I'm at now. That was like around 2 months ago, and it just brought a lot of people, a lot of like-minded people, a lot of them together, and it's getting a lot bigger. And right now we're just in a phase where we're trying to get everybody together, get them on the same sheet of music, get them more learned in different things, not only just security aspects or military aspects, but a lot of other, broad spectrum kind of things. Working with communities that just pretty much following the model that the Oath Keepers have set out as far as their CPT programs and what we covered at our Oath Keeper Summit here for the Appalachia region here in Gilbert, West Virginia. And just growing from that basically is what I'm trying to do right now, maintain a full-time job, family, and still yet try to give what you can give to get some awareness, get some education, and just get people involved.
Well, there's been some, man, I don't even know what to call it, almost like a social media uprising happening there in West Virginia as the last couple of weeks. Now, we were down there with Oath Keepers doing the Appalachian Mountain Summit there in Gilbert, West Virginia. But this is something different, and I think some of those guys were there. There's a guy named Tom, I believe, and a few others. There's 3 of them that are trying to put together something that from what I can gather, what I've been hearing, sounds like a call to action that could probably get a lot of people in trouble, and really, in my opinion, isn't the best route to be going down things. But that seems to be gaining some traction. So we thought I was talking to you earlier today, I thought we'd take the time to put it up on the radio show, discuss what's happening a little bit, to give the background on it and what they're calling for, and talk about why that may not be such a good idea. I know that you've just released a video today kind of counteracting some of what they've been talking about, but kind of fill us in as to what's happening there and your take on it.
Well, from what I can gather, and something that's it's a pretty, well, I guess it's by design made to seem like a very complex thing, just so people don't read into it too much. Tom Deegan has got some kind of obvious legal background. And if you go to Joe Sworn's little radio, he had a radio interview with him on Sworn American Sheepdogs. If you listen to that, you can get a lot of information. And, that was a 2-hour interview, essentially. So you'll get a lot more than what I can give you in this second. But what I took from it, basically, is if you were referencing the Constitution of the United States as a non-legitimate or not a legal document for whatever legal stipulations that you believe that are true or perceived by yourself alone or with your small group or whatever, that's fine. But that's also the point where you are definitely going to lose me. What I've seen is a lot of attempts to recruit my militias, and I say my militias because, we are the militia. So I've taken personal responsibility, and not only for the personal responsibility that it's actually going on within the confines of my own operating area, my state, and I'm pretty vigilant over that. I will respond to that. It does not seem what he's doing is, and his own mind thinks it's legal. What it is when you, not only do you lose me when you say the Constitution is not valid, you lose me when you say that you renounced your American citizenship. So you are essentially an illegal alien in my eyes, and you don't even fall under the Constitution in my own eyes. So for you to try to get my people to follow you into this meat grinder or whatever the hell you have going on, I'm going to have issue with you. So yes, I did make a rather abrasive video. I mentioned that. I apologize for the language, but people seem to only respond to bad language, which is unfortunate, but, I felt it necessary, so that's what I did on this video that I made just this morning. But as far as the legal aspects of what he's trying to argue, his legal point and his legal precedent, it means nothing to me. I'll go ahead, and I have nothing much to listen to you further when you go ahead and you refer to the Constitution the way he did, and you said you give up your American citizenship the way you did, then yeah, I'm not going to follow you. I'm going to advise others to not follow you. I'm going to have a big issue with you. And if you try to initiate anything in my state, it's not going to be good. I mean, it will not be good at all. Just pure and simple. I don't condone it, or at all. So
let's talk about a little bit what they are trying to say. Now they're going off this premise that, now again, I've heard some of this in the sovereign citizen circles where they talk about how each person has an insurance policy, and that basically the Pope and the Vatican are a corporation. That every country's a corporation. Now there is some truth to that. You talk to the American Republic, the new American Republic people, there is some truth to that. But the way he's approaching it with the Pope being in charge of all of it and what's happening there. Now don't get me wrong. There's definitely some things going on with the Pope and what's happening with the UN and everything there. But the way this guy's putting it there, I don't know if, I just, something's not right with what he's doing there. But basically...
Well, first and foremost, I'm a Catholic, and I'm not following the Pope. I consider myself a Catholic, but I don't consider myself a Vatican Catholic. You don't blindly follow anything or anyone. I mean, that's what makes us individuals, is that you take time, you assess people in situations individually, and you make a judgment on that. I don't follow anything blindly. But what this guy's doing is just outrageous and dangerous.
Now, he's literally calling for people to storm the State House, right? And
he never uses those words. Now,
but in so many words, in so few words anyway. I mean, he's not openly calling for it, but he is. He's using doublespeak.
I'll put it to you this way. You have somebody physically sitting at a desk. Even if they're not doing their job, we'll say, I've always said this, I don't believe elections are going to get us out of this mess we're in with government. But there's a lot of things that you need to execute before you grab a rifle. But here we go. We got a guy sitting at a desk, right? You want him removed or detained. He didn't say detained. Let's say you want him removed. Okay, there's got to be some kind of physical means of doing this, right? Okay? There's got to be a physical means of doing it. And then when you ask for the involvement of my people, you're essentially asking my people to do something physical to somebody. Now, to what extent you're doing it, somebody doesn't want to go, but you're dead set on taking them, well, the sky's the limit. It could be a violent act. It will be a violent act.
It would have to be. I mean, let's face it. If you were going to storm the state capitol, there would be bloodshed involved. There would be bullets firing. There's no doubt about it. One way or another, either people are going to get arrested en masse or people are going to die.
Yeah, that's right. And I take a severe offense to somebody trying to involve my people in that.
Right.
Like I said, there's a lot of things that I agree with. But when you go on about your weird utopian society, you are going to lose me.
And this is a guy who's saying that he doesn't necessarily believe in the Constitution as it was written, and thinks that it needs not apply anymore.
Not in its entirety, he doesn't.
Right.
Just like Stuart said, there's a lot of safety valves, in the Constitution, and that needs to be utilized. Okay, we need to work with that before you do what you plan on doing. He went through some legal motions. Now, he went through some legal motions with the corporate judicial system. I guess some along those lines. He said that he doesn't otherwise believe in, but he utilized those channels and didn't get the effect that he wanted at that particular level.
Now,
Stuart on here, of course, he can, digest this material and spit it out a little bit better than myself because he has a legal background. I don't have a legal background, but I do have a personal responsibility for my people. And
you've got a common sense background, though.
Well, yes.
I mean,
and it showed through.
So, is this gaining traction in West Virginia? Is this something we got to worry about? That some of these guys that may not be so aware of what's going on in the community and maybe brand new to it. Are they flocking to this guy? Are they listening to him? Do you think there's a possibility that this could go forward?
Well, this gentleman is very well spoken. He's very well educated, and that's obvious. And I admire his passion, like I said in the video. But what I don't admire is misdirection. What I don't admire is how it is being utilized. And certain people can be, and it's proven throughout history. Those who are good speakers, those who are very influential, that can stand in front of people and preach what they believe is to be true, can convince others. And what I do is I'm just ever vigilant. If I see something like it and I keep getting feedback from other people, hey, this guy's talking to me, or I see it constantly, that means something is going on. There's something going on and it needs to be addressed. And, my thing is first is an information campaign. I try to have more eloquent video. I'm still hearing crap, so I still think it's going on. So then I moved to this level, more direct, more abrasive, more ghetto, if you will. And that's what I did. So, if you're hearing it and you're seeing it, and some people have to be accepting this as their wisdom, as their accepted wisdom. So, yeah, he may be getting some traction. To what extent, I'm not exactly sure, but there's some obviously going on out there, or I wouldn't be hearing about it.
Now,
Yeah, please, Frank, jump in. I was going to tell you to jump in.
Isn't the object of the whole scenario to use I don't want to say this the wrong way because it's just going to upset people, but like the more dumbed down part of the population, right? If you implant somebody into that area and have them talk, they're going to dust up a small percentage of people that will, take their word and go forward with these things. And these aren't like the most, these people don't have too much of a clue already, but they'll use that to push the war back against the people. Well, look, you guys riled up against us and came at us, but really they're using a dumbed down section, a very small percentage, let's say 5 or 6 people. And if it doesn't work, they just arrest all of them. And if it does work, they blame the American public for being terrorists.
Sure. It's a win-win for the guys that are orchestrating this.
Right,
and,
right.
And the dangerous side of this for me is, okay, people are going to, and that's why I just made an informational video about militias to try and, because of crap like this, to let people know where we are.
It just feels like you fight a war on 2 fronts, like they surround you. And in the front, you see Darth Vader, and behind you, you see your friend. But your friend is really sent from the bad guy to convince whoever in your group will turn on you guys. You know,
That's right.
misdirection and confusion is still a win in their column
Oh
because
yeah,
it
and
pulls us away from the front line.
to use another Star Wars reference, you will have your Emperor Palpatines. You will have your resistance from the rear and your poison from the rear. you know, that sort of thing. Yeah, it's the thing that my biggest fear about this is, of course, you know, that people will use this as a harassment tool against legitimate militia. And I'm telling everybody, information is going to be your best thing in this. If you do not speak, I think we worked with 7 different militia groups yesterday in our training. We did aerial training, we did aerial air insertions with helicopters, and we did some force-on-force actions. And we used that time to also speak about this. And I told everybody, if you do not speak, jackasses like this will speak for you. And that will be what the people hear. And what the people are going to absorb, what the media is going to absorb, is going to be the craziest one out of the group, okay? That's going to be representative of all of us. So we need to combat that. So they need to get out and they need to speak. They need to make their own voice be heard and not let somebody like this ruin it for the rest of us.
Absolutely. Well, I tend to feel that they send these guys in there. Like, these guys
Oh, yeah.
are just, you know,
Yes.
Controlled opposition or whatever you want to call it.
Well, they're shills. They're government
Yeah.
plans.
Exactly.
Yeah, and they're in there. No, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, you're right. I'm not denying that one bit. That's always an option that I leave open. But combating both of those issues, both of those perceived threats, whether it be a actual nut or a government plan, to combat both of those, you have to use the same battle tactic, and that's information.
When I was a kid, we would just call those kids spies, right? And
Yeah,
you have to cut through. Yeah, you're a spy for the other block, for the other team, for the other, right? But that's basically what's going on. Everyone's pretending to be your buddy, but they're taking the narrative and twisting it. And it's like, look, if you want to defeat this, you got to stop looking in each individual layer and kind of at one point go to the direct source of the problem. Like, where's the evil emanating from? It's over there.
Sure.
You know, like, there's people that fight on each level, and that's great and all. But if you want to get to the heart of the problem, because there's like a lot of liberty movement infighting and who's who wants to be
That's
famous,
right.
none of that matters. The real problem is that we have a problem, and to combat the problem, we need a plan. And the plan is to speak up now, because it is an information war. It is a war for your mind.
Yes, it
And
is.
the last thing you want to do is pick up a weapon and use it. When your greatest weapon is your mind. I'm not saying that
Yes,
you
sir.
don't have to use a weapon, but just trust us all on this. The weapon is the last thing you want. A physical gun in your hand is the last thing. Like,
Sure it
this
is,
can
because
be done
there's
now.
there's so many other avenues that you can exhaust before you have to go to the rifle.
Right.
And right now is a very crucial time. And you can, anybody, okay, you know, Jason was at the summit. Jason, do you believe 5 years ago we would have the turnout and the diverse turnout that we had at that summit? Do you believe that?
No, not at all. Not at all.
So you know that people are feeling something, an uneasiness in the air, be it originating from an abusive government or external threats. Either or, people feel something, they're feeling something, okay? We got several different reasons where shit incident scenario could come from, okay? So people are feeling this. But that also makes people vulnerable because they're looking for leaders, they're looking for guidance. And if you've got a very influential individual out there, no matter what he's saying, no matter how far-fetched it is, if his delivery is seemingly intelligent enough, correct enough, if he can convince people, they're going to follow. And that's why the information thing is so important right now, because we can't have this. We can't have this. I mean, it just cannot happen. So right now is a very vulnerable time, and it's an easy time for this guy to pick up converts. It really is.
Yeah.
You know what it is? People get into that. They have nothing left. They don't know what to do. They've turned to religion. Maybe it hasn't helped. And they start hearing other voices, and they just connect to one that just vibrates with them, and they'll just go with it. And it's like, hey, man, where you going? Get back over here. We can't have you just wandering off doing something stupid now, because you feel like, nothing is giving you that satisfaction. But the problem is that everybody's been silent for too long. You've been fat and on your couch for too long, and you've had it too good. So there's nothing there. It's like, you know what? It all goes down to, they'll be taking your neighbor away, and it's like, oh, okay, they're not coming for me, and then they're there for you, and you're like, hey, nobody's helping me. They're setting it up like that. So they want you quiet, so you don't speak about it, and then when they come and take you, no one's going to stick up for you.
Well, I think one thing we need to really look at as a movement in general, whether you're a 3% or Oath Keeper militia, whatever, just liberty-minded. We'll call it the liberty movement. One thing we really need to be looking at very, very seriously is that we know the government is going to be using infighting. We know since Bundy Ranch, they've had psyops going on us that they're trying to stir up trouble and put plants in. And, we have certain individuals that we've talked about that we are pretty sure we know what their MO is, and that is specifically to act as a shill or, a provocateur. And we've got our suspicions. I won't name names right this moment, but, we have our suspicions as to who people are. And we need to expect that they're going to, this is one of their weapons they use against us. So we need to look at how we best counteract that, how we keep the unity going. Because really, I think their biggest fear now is that we are united, that we are on the same page and all waking up and moving a positive direction. I think that really scares the shit out of them, and they need to really... they're going to do what they can to try to keep that from happening. So let me ask you guys that: how do we counteract these provocateurs and the infighting, the psyops that we know are coming our way?
It's very simple, and every militia that I've been working with is executing this to a very high degree and a very well executed degree, and that is self-regulation. Unfortunately, I don't believe everybody who's a felon's a bad person. Okay, but every one of these. And it's sad that you have to do this because there's probably some genuinely good people that are felons, and this is just one aspect that they're using. These guys vet these people, very thoroughly. Same thing as what the Oath Keepers do. You have to watch the people that you add to your group, the people that can be poisonous to your group, and then even when they're in your group, they need to be monitored for a while and forever, basically. The Oath Keepers does that. They look at people they put in. All the all the militia groups, they've been doing that extremely well. Self-regulating is one of your best tools to make sure that you don't introduce an introduced threat, basically, that you don't invite the devil in, or that somebody's trying to push the devil on you. So it just all comes down to being really, really vigilant and watching your people.
And I think it's key that you remain vigilant, because we've seen in the past, just here in recent history, where we've had someone that we've been working with seem to be pretty squared away, but a few red flags. But, pass a standard background check just fine. It wasn't until you dug deeper than what a government does, than the feds do in a federal background check, that we found some serious red flags on some individuals.
Oh, yeah.
But we were diligent enough to go, wait a second, maybe we need to dig deeper on this guy. There's something not adding up here, and we need to look deeper than we normally would. And we, sure enough, found some great information that needed to be acted upon. So yeah, I think, but that was someone who was involved with leadership, involved in some pretty big operations. And, there were red flags that we were seeing, but not all at once. It was a cumulative effect. And once we hit a certain threshold, we're like, wait a second, we got to rethink this. So I think you're absolutely right on the diligence. Frank, what do you think about this?
I think that it's really important to definitely self-regulate. I know sometimes people say, no, this is my boy. I know him, and he's cool, and he's in. And you're like, where do you know him? Because I've seen people toss up trouble before, and it's really difficult to just weed through that. So you just have to be strong. Don't get lazy-minded. Don't overthink things, but check it out. Question everything. Understand it for what it is, because you're gonna have to, and we're gonna need it.
Yeah, we are. And there's some good resources out there. I'm very happy to have them, and I'd love to be able to say it publicly. But there's groups that are pretty far from me that are militia groups, but they're not necessarily security oriented or military oriented. They're strict intelligence units, and I'm very happy to have that kind of that database that I can call upon. It's really good, and I do have multiple sources to run people through. And just anybody, and this is anybody listening, if anybody's going to work with me directly, I'm checking you, because I just can't be poisoned.
Yeah.
Because and I don't like the whole leader thing, but I have certain people that are with me on certain things, and I'm responsible for that. I feel personally responsible for it, and I do not want to let any of these great people down.
Well, Alan,
Personal responsibility is what we were lacking to get here in the first place, was it not?
Mm-hmm.
Like,
Yeah.
so it's good to have that again.
The more guys that I'm exposed to that I think of as having good leadership qualities and the people that I want to get behind and follow and help out, they're generally the ones that are saying the same. There's very similar wordings that you just gave. That I don't want to be a leader. I don't want to be here. But yet they're stepping up to the plate and they're doing it. The guys that I'm wary of are the ones that step up and say, I should be in charge. I'm the warlord here. I'm the general. Those aren't the guys we necessarily want.
No, and that bothers me a lot. This movement is bigger than any individual, and for an individual to stand up there, and you do have to have some kind of rank structure if you're going to do any type of operation. That's obvious, but this takes a selfless effort. You cannot be self-promoting in this. You can't be self-oriented on this because it's such a big thing, and it certainly is bigger than any individual. And people need to identify with that. You cannot have these alpha male mentalities because usually those are the type of individuals that don't want to work with everybody else, or anybody else's opinion is off the bat devalued because it didn't originate from their self-perceived divine source, which is themselves. And you can't have that. And I mean, I do not feed egos. I will certainly call you out if I think that that's what you're doing. I will call you out directly, and I'll try to tell you that that's not the way to go. That's not, and I won't do it. And if somebody calls me out on it, if I get so caught up and drunk with whatever power, then please rein me in. But I don't think they're going to have that issue with me.
Checks and balances. That's what we're supposed to have.
That's right. That thing that wasn't used at all by a certain judge in Kentucky.
Well, let's talk about some of these new people that are waking up. What would you suggest, Alan, for people that are just kind of coming to things? Obviously, we're seeing a big influx into the movement, into the scene in general. We're not, the M word, as one of your videos you're just about to put out on, talks about, we're not quite as demonized. There's not that stigma as much as there was. I mean, it really, back in the 90s, it was a big movement. It was going, but then it was demonized, and then the M word came about, the militia. Oh, my gosh. Watch out for those guys. And now people realize, oh, hey, no. Militia's all of us. Militia's me. It's you. It's the guys you want to have on your team if something goes down. These are the guys that we're going to deputize. These are the guys we're going to be some of the first responders, and we want on the search and rescue team. These are the guys we want. They're the good guys, and it's you and me. Right. And so for people that are now just waking up, that wow, we don't have to be scared of these militia guys. That they're actually all right. They may be the good guys. Then, what would you suggest for them as far as avoiding some of these pitfalls, avoiding some of these warlords, wannabe warlords, wannabe generals, and getting in touch with legit groups? What would you suggest?
Well, what I suggest is, first, don't be intimidated. A lot of people are intimidated because, I never served in the military. Look, the military/security side is only one aspect of being a militia. Everybody's got something to bring to this. Same thing with the Oath Keepers. People say, I never served. I never was a police officer. My skill set doesn't necessarily lend itself to the mission of Oath Keepers. Well, that's not necessarily true. Well, it ain't true at all, actually.
I'm a perfect example of that. I've never served in the military. The only law enforcement I've done is while I was in Oath Keepers and been deputized a few times. But other than that, and here I am, national media director, helping out as best I can.
But you need to find somebody reputable. You need to find somebody. And I'm telling you, there's certain things to look for. The red flag stuff I'm telling you about. If anybody tells you do anything illegal, okay, there's a problem right there. Boom. If you just flat out get a bad gut feeling, there's a problem. Research the individual groups like the Ohio Valley Minutemen, the really good guys. If you are joining a group where everybody's hiding their damn faces and shit, and I'm sorry about the language, but if you're in a group and people that are taking their pictures or got their heads down or they're wearing masks or anything of that nature, okay, why are you hiding? The hell do you got to hide about? Are you breaking laws? Certainly by being part of a militia, you're not breaking any laws. Why are you hiding? So that's something that people need to be wary of.
Now, the only time I could see that, Alan, being a legitimate concern where it wouldn't bother me is if you're working down on the southern border in a known cartel area where they're going to possibly target you and your family.
Sure, and your mission-oriented posture is going to dictate that. But when I'm telling you, if you're having a militia barbecue, we'll say,
Right.
Everybody's wearing hoods or everybody's wearing masks. At the militia Christmas party when they're taking their pictures, okay, there's a problem there, all right? And then you may have people telling you to do things that are wrong or illegal. But if you go and see what I've seen this weekend, I've seen people out there with their families, smiling, happy. Everybody's taking pictures. Everybody's posting everything freely because we're Americans. We are the militia. We're not hiding. We're not hiding from nothing because we got no reason to hide. Necessity is the mother of invention, and people are being drawn to the militia for one simple fact. Government has failed us. We have to be self-reliant. They're not going to protect our borders. They're not going to protect us from any external threats or one that they've introduced themselves. So it is out of necessity. The militia is the only thing there, the only thing that's already been established, it's been there forever, that can deal with this sort of problem to help protect its communities. The militia, that's what else is there? I'm trying to figure it out. And when I say militia, I do also mean 3%ers. I do mean oath keepers. I mean everybody. These types of people. What else is out there? It's the self-reliant, self-sufficient citizen and the organizations, the coalitions that they form to combat whatever issues they have in their communities. There's nothing else left. If government fails you, it is your duty to pick up the pace.
Frank, you're from New York City, and I'm sure it's a little bit different of a scene there. What's the militia scene like in New York City? Is there one? If so, what's it like?
You talk about a militia over here where I live, they'll probably just arrest you.
Really?
Like, listen, I'm in the Bronx, and I'm right near Yankee Stadium. Like, I'm like 3 miles from there.
I've been to Yankee Stadium. Yep.
Yeah. There is no, as far as I know, the militia is everyone that's walking around, because I look at it like this. Let's say you're intimidated by the militia and all that kind of stuff. You don't even need to go there. You know what you could do? You can be a well-prepared home, and your family and you can all be on the same page, and you have you have your discussions, and you go over things, and you try to understand what's happening around you, and you can apply it to your family and how you live, and at least start there. So when people don't know where to start, or when you look for something, sometimes you find the wrong thing. People that don't hear us aren't necessarily going to come to our direction. They could hear the other guy and go, oh, this sounds great. So, being a little smarter and self-sufficient usually helps. Be a close, tight family, help your neighbor, get to know them.
Well, you guys are the birthplace of one of the things we do as militia is neighborhood watches. I know our community, our CPT teams and the Oath Keepers is very oriented against neighborhood watches. And boy, the Guardian Angels, they're the original neighborhood watch, man.
We have
no nonsense guys. Oh yeah.
Yeah, we have the Morris Park Association here, and back in the mid '80s, they would drive around with baseball bats. And let me just tell you what, they never really used them, and they never really had to do anything. They ran a few people off, but this neighborhood was fantastic. The cops don't really do anything. They just come and break your chops, and they lock up kids when they just stand around near the park.
Oh, man, it's really sad to hear that. But you know what? Times are changing. They really are, and I'm making it my duty, and I'm trying to make it other people's duties to get out there and start doing some PR for the militia. And we took that first step yesterday. We just uploaded that video today, and there's going to be a lot more where that came from. It's a little long. They had a lot of information to get out initially for people who otherwise are uninitiated with militia. And I think this information campaign, once people get behind it and start pushing it, it's going to be good. And that M word's not going to be that knee-jerk reaction word that it is right now.
And for folks, if you're interested in seeing this, I'm actually going to be posting this video along with a short article talking about the video and what's going on there. Hopefully have it up tomorrow, pretty early, on oathkeepers.org. So you can check it out there and then. And if it's open now, if it's live now, you're welcome to give out the URL now, Alan, if you'd like to.
Okay. Are you talking about just naming the web address itself, or?
Well, yeah. I mean, is it on your YouTube channel? Where can people find it? Otherwise, if you want to hold off, we can just wait till tomorrow.
YouTube channel. That's Allen Larderi's shooting channel. It's ALLEN LARDIERI shooting channel. And, well, it used to be a nice channel with shooting, but now it's kind of got a little political. But, yeah, you can find it there on YouTube, or you can probably just Google my name, and it'll come up my YouTube channel there. It's the first video on there. Of course, on Facebook, it's all over Facebook, on my Facebook, or on I put it on maybe 5 different Facebook pages, and people are actively sharing it right now. But it's a work in progress. It's one of our first videos. It's about 18 minutes long. We apologize for that, but there's just so much information, and that's only half of what we really wanted to get out. There's just so much you have to say. So, next videos, the following videos, we're going to concentrate on just more specific subject matter and of course, make it shorter to get this out there. But right now, I think it's very important, and it's our duty right now to get some information out. And some of these guys hopefully will be helping me with security when we do our Trail Fest here in Gilbert. We've been we were requested to provide some security there to help augment the law enforcement that's there. It's a community outreach thing. People know that we are valid in this part of West Virginia. They know that we're competent. And now we have people requesting that we come and help them out. It's going to save the town a lot of money. Otherwise, they'd have to hire a private security company. And we're going to try to help them out. You were there in Gilbert. You know exactly what I'm talking about.
Yep.
We had initially people were, well, how were they? You remember how the town council was and the mayor? They were scared to death of us. They thought we was coming there to, to kill police officers, oddly enough.
Yeah, and strangely enough, that first night, that just changed everything.
Right. So. And now look at us. Now they're wanting us to help them out. And
yeah, as a matter of fact, we got a call from the mayor, I think, just yesterday or the day before.
Yeah, you did.
Yeah, asking if we are going to be there, and we are planning on being there. I think you and your guys are going to be heading it up. I think Stuart and I will be flying out there as well, possibly Mouse as well, and helping out where we can. And and it just goes to show you how once people understand, once they see the character of the people we are, and get to know us on a personal level, they get past the demonization, they get past what the mainstream media and the SPLC is trying to paint us as, and see us for what we really are, and that we're really just trying to help as best we can and just be the best people we can be. Well, that makes all the difference in the world. And then it switches from, at one point, this mayor was ready to call out the National Guard to keep us from going there, literally, to asking us to help them with security on this big, basically it's kind of like Sturgis, but for, trail quads and stuff, four-wheelers. So it just goes to show you how much of a difference there is between what the perception and what the reality of who we are really is.
Yeah, that was a perfect textbook example. Again, it comes down to a government did fail us, and I'll tell you how it failed them people. The coal industry's getting shot. I mean, it's been under attack by Obama, and I'm a coal miner, and I know that personally. We're all about to lose our jobs, but the coal severance taxes that paid for these officers' equipment, their salaries, they laid off 5 officers. They have 2 officers all together for that whole town, 2 deputies at any given time to work that whole county. The state police, after 7 o'clock, they're non-existent within the confines of that particular county. So, okay, they don't have this security force, this police force no more, because what I mean by government failing is they failed by funding, right? These guys have no funding. So it is our duty, it is the duty of the responsible citizen to pick up that slack where the government has failed us. And then we have no problem doing that because we live here. We care about our communities. We don't want them to turn into these crime-ridden hellholes. And that's where we're stepping up, and we're going to help with this security. We're going to do whatever we can to make this event, their biggest event, I might add, for the year that they have, make it as safe and as profitable for them as possible. And we're going to save them a lot of money because we're doing all these services for what? How much? For free.
Absolutely. All right, well, we've got about 5 minutes till the break here. Is there anything else you want to go over, Alan, before we come to the end of the first hour?
No, I feel pretty well. I think we covered the subject matter fairly well.
Okay, and if people want to, I almost hesitate to give this guy any more airtime, but we are. They've got a big conference call, and you can listen for yourself. And really, I think it just, if you listen to it, you'll realize that these guys are talking some bad stuff, and that they're probably people you want to steer away from. But again, with what's going on there in West Virginia, with the conference call, for those people who know what that is, it really is, Tom Deegan and those guys. It's trouble. It's trouble, and you need to think about, the function of a government shill and, what their true intention is there. So I just encourage people, please think that over.
Oh, yeah, and check out that interview that Joe Sworn did on the Sworn American Sheepdogs, man. That link that I give you, that thing there, if you want to, especially if you have the time, it's a little long, but if you want to understand this thing in its full entirety, they really get into it there. You hear some opposition in there as well, so you get to hear both sides, really. And it's a really good interview. The dude exposed himself completely.
Hold on. Just putting it into the chat room, the link, and for some reason the audio kicks on and commercial starts playing. So sorry about that, guys.
Okay, no problem.
Anyway, now the link is in the chat room, and I will put it into the show notes as well for this show. Put it up onto the websites.
Oh, yeah, if they want to get an understanding and a true appreciation for this gentleman, listen to that.
Okay. Yeah, we got that.
Make your own determination from that.
All right, Alan. Well, thanks again for everything you're doing, man. You're really, you're a man on fire out there, and we appreciate the work you're doing, and keep doing it. Keep fighting that good fight.
Will do, sir. Thanks.
All right. We'll talk with you soon.
All right, see you.